people a bit to gear up and get in here. Let's take a look at the community. We've got a lot. So, just as we're chatting here, on the slides, I've got some key dates, but mark it in your calendar. December 8th, we have a really big update happening in the community. So you're going to see a whole different design with the spaces, I think more intuitive, and that's going to make a lot more sense, I think, for most people who come in here and get a little overwhelmed today. All of this is getting packaged up. We have some new features and a lot of new events, which would be really cool. I think we have a lot of people in that deal flow accelerator who are going to be getting more engaged with events. We've already started up. Keep in mind tomorrow, if you're a client and you're working on the LinkedIn branding, or if you're just in that deal flow accelerator, Valentina now every Thursday is just popping in to the hangout. So there's a LinkedIn social selling Q&A every week with Valentina. You can go through what works, what you need to do with your brand. If you're going after a niche, your brand should obviously match the pain points of that niche that you're going after. So less about you, more about your end target prospect. So if you're running deal origination, they come to your website, they come to your brand, they're going to see potential solution to their pain points, to their current problems, etc. So there's that. We've got the events, the M&A news. This has been fun. We've got a lot of really good news coming through. We aggregate the news and aggregate the events from across the industry. On Friday, we're going to be launching just a review of this. We're going to have a podcast going out that pretty much just covers the news and the events around the industry that you want to watch out for on a regular basis. So keep an eye out for that. What else? Bob, how you doing? Good to see you. Bob, we should definitely talk about the December 8th update so we can get your tax workshop updated. Bob's a good example of what you can do if you engage with the community as we ramp this up. Keep in mind for 2023, Bob has a clearly defined niche, which is really what we preach on a weekly basis here with BizNexus Concierge. We're really just taking plays from our playbook that we see working well, and with Concierge, we only work with people who are niched, right? And so Bob has a really interesting niche. He's got this transition tax radio. It's a workshop here where he talks about taxes and transactions, and that's Bob's wheelhouse. So he's typically the member of a deal team who's going to deal with all things tax related. If you're talking about tax structuring to improve the structure of an offer, Bob's your guy, and he's been really engaged with the community, and I think he's gotten pulled into a number of deal teams for his niche, and that's exactly what we're looking for in this community. So hopefully we can continue to do that at scale. Oh, Aaron, hey, what's up, man? Aaron, I think I owe you a reply as well. God, I owe a lot of people replies. I'd love to connect in person, Aaron. It's been too long. Maybe Friday or this weekend if you're around. Just ping me. I'm not gonna shoot myself out here, but I think you've got it. All right. So we're 101. I'm just gonna hop into it. What we've seen still with these lunch and learns. First, a lot of people having trouble getting into the live sessions. DM me, DM Courtney if you have problems getting in here. That should not be the case. Ideally, we've made it pretty clear. You pop into the community, there should be a prompt to go live and you hop in, but we've seen a lot of people getting eyeballs on lunch and learns after the fact, the recording, which is fine. But ideally we have people showing up live so that we can continue to grow the collaborative experience. That's what we're looking for. So everything we talk about in these lunch and learns, the ongoing conversation happens in this group, the Deal Flow Accelerator. So there's an article published on whatever topic we're covering in the lunch and learn with takeaways. And if you have specific questions related to your deal flow program, your funnel, you can hop in there and just fire away. So all week we're just putting out content in that group, and it's all going to be relevant related to what we cover in the lunch and learns on a weekly basis. I am going to apologize for the people who've been here week in, week out. I've had this cough. It's still here. So it's this thing going around Boston. So it's an annoyance, but it'll still be here. So apologies for that. What we're going to talk about today is, first, let's mark our calendars. 12/8 for all of you who are just popping in right now. So on December 8th, we are going to have a very different community than the one you're seeing in here today. All the current content is going to be available. It's going to be organized in a cleaner fashion, and we're going to have more content going live as well, collaborative content. January 2nd, keep this in mind. We're launching a concierge product in BizNexus. So with everything that we've been doing with concierge, our services side of the business for deal origination, you're going to be able to log into BizNexus and you're going to see something really cool. So we'll have more info about that, but that goes live January 2nd. If you are curious about that, you want to get in there and talk about your deal flow strategy, just pop in and click this deal flow button. That's going to take you to a strategy session. You can chat with us about anything that we're covering in these conversations. That's it for the sales pitch. If it's your first time here, I run BizNexus. That's our marketplace. Typically got about 10,000 deals on that marketplace at any given time. But BizNexus Concierge is our agency for off-market deal flow. If you're a buyer, we do off-market and on-market. That's our thing. And we started these lunch and learns when COVID hit, just to start sharing kind of playbooks that or plays from the playbook that we see working well, just on a weekly basis. So this is a fascinating space. It is a super competitive space. Only more so, honestly, every month that goes by. That's what today is about with multi-channel deal origination, how to stay competitive in this increasingly competitive environment by leveraging multiple channels with your deal flow funnel. So I get to talk about this every week, and I love this stuff. And this gives me an opportunity to talk about what's working, what we see working. I think I've got a unique view from Concierge. We have people coming in regularly telling us what's working, what's not working. And then we obviously see what's working well with our campaigns, what's not. But it's really just one opinion. So I'm just speaking from my experience, from the Concierge experience. So if you have your own opinion, you want to get in there, you want to chat, you want to go into the Deal Flow Accelerator, tell us what's working, we love to continue the conversation. We always talk about our philosophy as being a long-term philosophy for deal origination. That doesn't fit with everybody. That is just it's based on my personal experience. It's based on what I think is an increasingly competitive field where you don't just get in front of your business owner prospects. Like, if you're in this game for any duration, if you're a private equity shop and you've got a 7-10 year life in your fund, and you're going after a specific niche, you want to build up your brand and you want to stay in front of prospects well after your first approach. And it still surprises me how few players in this space are doing that. If you're an intermediary, you absolutely have to stay in front of your prospects through nurturing over time, right? You always have that first approach, but then you want to stay in front of those prospects across multiple channels over time at different stages of the conversation. That's our philosophy. So every week we talk about something, right, that's designed to help build you up in your niche and not only make that first approach, but then stay in front of your prospects, your referral prospects, and your end target prospects over time. So referral prospects could be intermediaries. If you're focused on fintech, intermediaries who are working with fintech, working with tech, maybe financial advisors, accountants, lawyers, insurance, key consultants, like thinking of Fast CTO, we work with them. If they're working with multiple fintech companies, that's a referral source who can put you in touch with your end target prospects on an ongoing basis. That's an extremely productive target over time. So we try to build for the long game. That's what we do. We're not just talking about lead generation. We're talking about deal origination. I see that as a long-term process. Whatever we're going into, it's always designed for that well-timed meeting, right? The conversation with an end target prospect where you have not burned your brand by being overly aggressive. They feel warm and fuzzy about you because they feel like they know you through your posting, through your content. You've already established yourself as a qualified authority in the area of business acquisition and sale. That's what we're aiming for. And all of it leads to this one thing. It's that proverbial cup of coffee. So today, we're going to talk about multi-channel, just because we've had a lot of new people popping into these lunch and learns, which is great. But we have a healthy mix of intermediaries and buyers these days. And when I first started this, when COVID hit, it was probably 90% intermediaries. I think that's flip-flopped, where you've got so many new buyers in the market. And that is a big part of the problem, honestly. It's why it's so noisy at the top of the funnel. You have Aaron, when you and I were in Babson, deal origination and search funds, this was still a relatively new thing. Now, acquisition entrepreneurship, this is, forget first year MBA, it's like first year college. You have kids. Well, kids, I don't mean that in a condescending way, even though that did sound that. You have young entrepreneurs who have caught on to acquisition entrepreneurship, and they are running email drips, LinkedIn drips at the top of the funnel to the same seller prospects who you are approaching, whether you're an intermediary or a seasoned private equity fund. There is so much more competition today at that first approach than there ever has been, and I do not see that getting any better. So what do you do to adapt? What do you do going forward to stay competitive? Multi-channel, right? And that's what we'll go through. I'm going to show you some tactics that we use. I'm just going to run through my general philosophy at 30,000 feet, but then I'll show you a cool tool in Pipedrive. Courtney, maybe you could drop the link to how to become a Pipedrive partner of ours. We are a partner of Pipedrive, but I am speaking about pretty much every CRM. So it doesn't matter if you're on HubSpot or Pipedrive or SharpSpring, whatever you're on, this should be applicable, but I'm a big fan of Pipedrive. Yes, we're a partner, but that is what we use. We drink the Kool-Aid. We like that CRM. We think it's very, very, it's very intuitive. It's got a good design. And from a sales standpoint, that's what we decided is working really well to get people from 0 to 100 and actually get them engaged with the CRM. So that's what we talk about, when we're doing these demos. We can also chat briefly about BizNexus Concierge, but I don't want to turn this into a salesy thing. Basically, Concierge, we're going to have a tool to run multi-channel outreach. That's what we do through our agency. Everything we go through here, it's coming straight from our playbook. It's what we do with Concierge. So today we're pretty much talking about nurturing, and I'm just going to hop into it. All right. So feel free to ask questions along the way if you have them. Typically, we've seen a lot of questions coming through after the fact, which is fine. And we encourage that to go in the deal accelerator. But if you have questions, I'll do my best to stay on track and answer those at the same time as we go along. So the problem that I was starting to go through is just how noisy it is at the top of the funnel, right? And especially with cold email, there are tools that have become available that just make this so easy to start and go and really hit the gas on cold emailing at the top of the funnel. The worst thing you can do in this industry is burn your brand with a potential seller, right? So if you're a search funder or something, you're in this for, the clock is ticking and you've got 12 months, 18 months to make an acquisition. And I get it. You want to go hard at the top of the funnel and see if they're ready to sell, because your window to do this before you go and move on, get a job is closing quickly. I was a search funder. I understand this. It's a lot of pressure, especially if you're self-funded. But if you're not doing this for 1 year only, the worst thing you can do is burn your brand at the top of the funnel, right? Because 99% of the owners who you're approaching just won't be ready. They don't know who the hell you are. You have not proven yourself. They're getting approached day in and day out by other people. So you need to get in there, engage, and start offering some social proof and really sell them over time to the point where they're ready to have that conversation about, having a conversation about their exit plans. Or, this is their baby. This is the most sensitive asset. So you're not going to get it at first pass unless, your online presence is amazing and they already know you somehow, or if they're, if they have health considerations or they're going through divorce or something like that, that's going to force a sale. So you need to stay in front of these people over time. The email drips, that channel in particular, you're always going to have to use all these channels. But if I had to make a bet for 2023, I'd say email, like short that channel. I've been getting emails from politicians all week. I don't know if anyone else has, but it is just so crowded with this channel, and the filters are only getting better with AI. You're talking about trying to outsmart Microsoft and Google, and landing that cold email in your inbox. It's fine, but it's also pissing people off. So just realize that this channel might not be going in the right direction, and adapt by engaging other channels alongside email. Text messaging, I hate text messaging for first approach. Welcome to share your thoughts. For me personally, it pisses me off. If I don't know somebody and they're texting me, I hate it. But if it's something that, I've already engaged and I've already clearly shown interest, we've already had a conversation and there's notification for an event, well, that's where text can work really well. Everyone loves cold text because of the opens and but think about this from the context of burning your brand, would people appreciate that, right? I'm big on that, and I tend to lean towards conservative. Some people don't. That's just my approach. So the solution, multi-channel for M&A, in my mind, being primarily cold email, LinkedIn, phone, snail mail. Those are the 4 arrows in the quiver that we see working really well over time. And text and retargeting, I like those at the bottom of the funnel, right? For engagement, not for first outreach. So with LinkedIn, there are a few different weapons you can use within that channel. The connections, in-mail, smart links, retargeting. We can talk about where to apply those, but we've gone through that in another lunch and learn, so I don't want to get too off track. What does multi-channel outreach look like? I don't have a pretty slide with like outreach coming into one CRM and then going across multiple channels again with nurturing. Maybe I'll drop that in in a presentation, the Deal Flow Accelerator later, but we just didn't get that together. But basically, you have outreach and then you have nurturing. And so multi-channel outreach might be like, maybe you start with cold email, right? So maybe you've got a 3-4 cold email drip to your target owner. So if you're going after medical manufacturing companies, right? You've got that list. Ideally, you have the data so that you can hit them across multiple channels. There are tons of tools to enrich data so that you have that in place. We've talked about that. That's not the topic for today. But ideally, you have the data, and then you can start with something like cold email, right? Where it's a direct approach and a follow-up, and then maybe another follow-up or a forward, and then a final close out. But it's not going to burn your brand. It's direct. You're hitting them right between the eyes, letting them know who you are, what you do. You're stating your value proposition, but then you move on into your nurturing phase. Now, with cold email, if you're sending 100 emails and 60 people open them, you want to resend to the 40 who didn't open with a different title a few days later. Make sure that you maximize the penetration on that, right? So you want to make sure that your value prop is getting in front of the eyeballs that you care about. And let's say you do that, all right? You go through an email drip, and then you have a batch of people who have not opened up any emails. You know that this is a perfect target prospect, but they haven't seen your brand yet, right? If you're using data, then you can track this. You can see it very clearly. You can see it in Pipedrive with who's engaged, who hasn't. At that point, maybe you can follow up with phone calls, right? Phone calls to everybody who hasn't engaged with your cold email. Maybe you have a LinkedIn nurture. So you're doing cold email and LinkedIn and phone. And then for prospects who have engaged, you're putting them on your snail mail, your quarterly blast, whatever you're doing for your practice. It's something that differentiates you. It lands on their doorstep, and that does differentiate in this environment because everybody is digital only, right? If you do something like that and you do it well, it'll make you stand out, especially at the bottom of the funnel. Now, for us with Concierge, we kind of pride ourselves in getting all that data together before we do anything. If you've been on these lunch and learns, that's the foundation of our approach. So hopefully you're working with us or someone else, or you're doing this on your own, where you're starting with data, right? But what if you get a prospect in, a verified prospect, you pull them into your Pipedrive, right? And you have someone who's, they've clearly viewed your smart link for 30 seconds. They've replied, they've engaged with your content. They've done something to indicate interest. And this is that owner of a 50-person medical manufacturing company. I'm going to show you a trick in Pipedrive that's pretty cool. There are a lot of tools like this, but Pipedrive just makes it very easy. So this is a demo account, right? But if we pop in here to the deal pipeline, I'm going to look at this demo deal origination pipeline. And God, I hope this works with a demo account. Let's see. Let me go into contacts, right? So if you have someone who has shown interest, all right, and you have their email, there's a tool in Pipedrive called Smart Contact Data. And let's just go into one of these. This is on the fly. So again, this stuff is, this could work out well, or it could be a total disaster. That's the lunch and learn as we do it. So if I pop in here and let's say this person, all right, This is all random contact data. It's a demo. But if I pop down here, I've got an email. This is the source of truth. So in data land, the email is typically the source of truth. It's just one piece of information that can help get you all the other information that you need. So that's what we have here. So I can see we've got email and we've got LinkedIn, but if you signed on for smart contact data with Pipedrive, this is a tool for multi-channel nurturing, right? So you don't want to do this with a list of 2,000 people because you're going to blow out your budget very quickly. But with Pipedrive, if you're doing this and you have someone who's come in, you're like, this person fits the bill, right? This person is running that medical manufacturing company and I want them, right? I want to know their data. I want to be able to engage and stay in front of them over time. This tool is effective for that. So let's see what we get here. Just with clicking that. So now I've got some new info. I've got the address. I've got LinkedIn. I've got a gravatar. That's all right, right? Like I said, it's live. It's hit or miss. So let's try someone else. All right, we'll go in here. Smart data search. All right, location, LinkedIn. So it's hit or miss with this tool. Sometimes you'll get the website, the Twitter, the Facebook. You'll get their bio, and again, hopefully you're doing some of this at the top of the funnel, so you're getting some of this data to start with. But if you have just one email, smart contact data is going to allow you to get multiple channels instantly. Now, going back to the point of this, from there, right? So let's say a verified prospect lands in that verified prospect column of the deal flow funnel that we talk about all the time, right? So, someone has shown interest and they fit the bill and they land here. What do? Right? You're going to lob a call in, you're going to have that first conversation, what have you, and then you're going to click that smart data, the smart contact data button. And ideally, you have some sort of automation, or you can manually do this. You set up just follow-up tasks across multiple channels, right? So you guys stop me. It's always a random crowd. Some people are beginners, some people are up to speed with this stuff. But if I lose you, just ping me and I can backtrack. But if you're in here and you're putting on your sales hat, right, and you want to stay in touch with these business owners over time because they fit the bill, that you offer a service that at some point will be appropriate for them, but if it's not now, you don't want to push it. Then you can set up an automation. By automation, I don't mean something like a bot. I mean a sales task. So you or your BDR can go and do an action across multiple channels, right? So if you've had a conversation or it's a verified prospect, or they ghost you, or they showed interest and they're no longer there, what do? You can set up a LinkedIn action, right? So you or your BDR should go and check out LinkedIn, and that could be just reaching out and connecting with them, or it could be following them and then connecting them, or it could be checking out their LinkedIn and seeing if they have a newsletter that you could sign on for. So then you're up to speed with what's happening with that marquee tier 1 medical, health manufacturing company on an ongoing basis, right? You can add them to a list, tier 1 prospects, medical manufacturing, right? You should have those sales navigator lists like we've spoken about in the past. Whatever that LinkedIn action that's appropriate, you set that and you set another one, right? Again, Pipedrive, if you're using Pipedrive and you set a task, right? If I knock this out, it's going to prompt me to set another one. So I can say, check out LinkedIn and add to sales nav list. And I can just check that out. I want to do it next month, and bam, right? So you always want to have that follow-up task. So maybe you just have in-house, hey, we're going to do the cold email, and then we want to do something to engage with LinkedIn, and then we're going to put them on our flyer blast. But it's a multi-channel approach for nurturing with the prospects who fit the bill. So these aren't randoms. These are people who fit the bill on the nurturing, right? That should always have a call. Now, calling is fantastic in Pipedrive. If you're using BDR, if you're using an intern, you can just pop in, and if you've synced up your phone, right, you can just lob a call with a prospect who has a phone. You can go through and you just click to call. I'm not going to do this now because I think that would blow up the live stream. But if we click to call, then notes pop up. the background on the prospect pops up. You can take notes, you can call, you can record everything. If your prospect is okay with that and accept it, you can have a BDR or an intern record, and you have all of that data. You see that call. That's tremendously valuable with follow-ups. With Concierge, we're actually leaning a lot more on that. So as cold email, like the beauty of a multi-channel approach is that as one channel starts to flame out, the other channels will probably start working really well. I'm bullish on LinkedIn. I'm bullish on phone follow-ups for 2023. That's what we're leaning into. That's a lot of what we're upgrading to with Concierge. And so in Pipedrive, you can go through and you can see all the data, see who needs a call, right? Who needs a cold first call, or who needs a warm follow-up for the meeting. And you can do that, and you have all the track data. So if you have a good VA, a good BDR, you can just put them on it, set the task, and they can go right through and follow up and nurture all these prospects with a call. You can also send that flyer, but that'll be another lunch and learn. So that hopefully was a good intro for multi-channel and leveraging Pipedrive specifically with smart contact data. Again, when do you use that? It's not for a list of 2,000 people and you want to get all the data. Again, you're going to blow out your limits. You're going to blow out your budget. It's too expensive. I'm a Pipedrive partner, so I probably shouldn't be saying that, but that is the case. You're going to run out of credits. You're going to run out of budget very quickly if you're doing it at the top of the funnel. What smart contact data is for in Pipedrive is when you have people who you know fit the bill, who are in there, and you know you want to prioritize that multi-channel sales nurturing, right? You click smart contact data, you set up the task based on what you've got, and then you nurture the hell out of them. That's M&A, right? A very small percentage is going to be ready to have that conversation, like a real conversation about evaluation or moving forward with an exit plan at first pass. So you need to stay in front of them over time. And what we're trying to do is really help our clients who come through. If we're giving you verified prospects, people who fit the bill, we want you to be successful, to go through to engagement, to go through to LOI. And that's what we're doing with a lot of these lunch and learns. And so that's a tool that I think is fantastic. Smart contact data in Pipedrive, using the caller in Pipedrive. If you're using a BDR, again, don't use somebody who's offshore. Don't use somebody who you haven't tested, who you haven't sat in and listened to. Use somebody who's fluent and somebody who ideally can follow through on your scripts, not go off script, et cetera. Be careful with your brand there too. Another lunch and learn, but that is it. And so that's it, guys. I think one last salesy prompt. Check us out. Click this deal flow button, right? Check out the strategy session. We're taking reservations for January 2nd. We're only accepting people who are focused on a specific niche. That's all Concierge does. If you don't want to niche down, we think that it's going to be it's going to be very competitive going forward. It's obviously the market has changed. It's changing, but you have $2.5 trillion of dry powder out there chasing deals. You have about $3 trillion with the S&P cash on hand. Those companies don't grow organically. They need to grow organically. That money is chasing deals, chasing fewer deals. It's very fragmented down in the lower middle market. It's very competitive. I think we have a really nice solution that spans multi-channels. If you want to learn more about it, see if it's appropriate, check that. Click on the deal flow button. We'll have a chat. And if you just want to do it yourself, keep tuning into Lunch and Learns, and hopefully this is helpful. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.